And by the way, fucking spoilers, anybody who's watching this shit. We was going to have Brian with us, but apparently he doesn't know the spoilers of the fucking Last of Us. So he had to go, man. He had to go out. But no, I knew that Joel... Well, I suspected he was a ghost in the first trailer, the reveal trailer, where she's playing the guitar, and he's like, hey, come on, Ellie, or whatever. I thought that she was a ghost then. But when you actually get the spoilers, the leaks... I was at the first thinking, I was thinking to myself, I'll be like, either wait for PlayStation 5 like Brian was, or I was kind of half thinking maybe they'll make it for PC. It's like, if they make Last of Us for PC, Last of Us 1, then I'll just wait a couple years and get it. But once I'm like, all right, there's some huge leaks that people are super pissed off about. I'm like, all right, let's find it. And that's when you get to, you hear about the PGA Pro Tour, man.
I mean, it's just like, what the fuck? And then it's like, I don't, who knows? But yeah, it was, it's fucked up. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, if you're going to make a sequel, it's like, I get that you don't want to do the same thing. You don't want to go right back to the old, you want to do something different. It's kind of like Walking Dead. You want to keep those shocks in there, stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, why are you shitting all over the first one? You know what I mean? Just seems like
deconstruction. I've heard it called a deconstruction of the first one. And what's the core of the first one? It's going to be Joel and Ellie. It's going to be them together. That's what you get out of that. I mean, is that, am I right?
It's the relationship. Like he didn't want a daughter. He had a daughter. He lost a daughter. He didn't want another daughter. He didn't want a replacement daughter. But over time, he's it's the new daughter, and it's like he learns. It's like what's that Lethal Weapon movie with the wood where it's like you don't love them more, you just love them different.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking. I've seen it, but I don't remember.
It was in one of them. It was the Joe Pesci line where it's like I think it might have been the third or fourth one or something. I don't remember. I think it was when Mel Gibson was like, struggling with the idea of like being in love with the other chick after his wife had died or something. I don't know. It's been a long time.
Dude, it was like, you relate to both characters because, she needs a dad. You could tell she needs a dad. And so you're kind of, as a player, you kind of feel like Joel, that you're her dad. And then you're also, I kind of feel like I was Ellie, and then Joel was my dad. It's some weird shit. That's what I felt when I was playing this shit, because I seen it from both sides. And there was something about, even though the game is just basically a stealth Gears of War, and then you stealth a little bit, then you get found out, then you slam behind the chest high walls, and you fight the guys. It's just, you've seen it 1,000 times, and your gunplay isn't even particularly good. That I like the part where there'll be like a table next to your dude, right? And like a guy's coming at you, you'll just slam his head into the table. In 2013, you're like, wow, what the fuck? He knew the table was there, because you're always used to the characters as kind of they're kind of floaty or whatever. It's like they feel like they're in the damn level. And like animations when they're going through that they, if they're coming through tall grass, you kind of just push through the tall grass. I mean, you've seen that stuff in like the Tomb Raider reboot and Uncharted, I guess the movie games. But it's just like, it was so cool, man, because you felt like you've seen new things you ain't seen before in games.
Well, it's like you were talking about with the table. It's like, you're used to playing games where everything's like a block, like it's got like a hitbox, or, it kind of, it's like, it's just an object, an inanimate object. But in this one, it was like, oh, you can knock that table over and slam somebody's head in it. Or slide across that table. It's not like you're just hovering. It's like it felt like everything was there.
A part of the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just that little bit of touch with a little bit of stealth and a little bit of crafting, that helps make that. It was much better than Uncharted. How many Uncharted have you played?
Played the fourth one and a little bit of the second one.
Okay, so I played
not a lot.
Yeah, I played through the first four. I haven't played the add-on. And the Uncharted games, one of the problems is like you just want to get through that gameplay to go to the next cutscene, honestly, man, because it's not very good. It's never been as good as Gears, which is copies. It apes Gears. Except, with Gears, you always had two people, and so you kind of work together. and you would try to flank and need covers and stuff like that. Well, you might have, what was it, Sully, the old guy? He might help you a little bit, but and you know, of course, The Last of Us, you had Ellie, and it was great because you didn't feel like you had to, you know, you didn't feel like in the game that you had to babysit Ellie at all. It's
She
like,
was not she was not actually from Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, she was like, you never had to worry about her getting taken out. Like, for some reason, it's like, I guess they just did a better job. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't remember her ever, like, oh, crap, I got to go save her at all. I don't remember a single scene of that in the first one. Maybe it's because I ain't played it in a while. But I don't remember, like, babysitting her. Like, you know, she was just there.
She would, like, she would sneak around with you and just fucking, you know, shank fuckers in the damn ankles and shit with knives and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I remember. And one of the things I really liked is about the time the game started getting a little stale, you're constantly moving across the United States or whatever it is. And it's by the time it got stale, you had the part where you switched to Ellie.
Yeah.
You remember that? And you was riding the horse and shit?
Yeah.
It's like that. I thought it was real basic, but it's what the game needed at the time. It was like, this game's paced fucking perfectly.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like the whole thing, like when you first start off with her, it's like you're hunting. And it's like, it was kind of like a breather, you know, like a let me up moment. It's like, oh, I'm hunting now. And it's snowing. It's different. It's a different. I like the season change. You know, it'd be like, oh, this feel like you kind of felt like you were going through the year, you know. Mm-hmm. It's like you could tell like time had passed. And it is also, you're like, oh, crap, I got to find the freaking, you know, the meds and all that. I got to get that freaking deer, give that guy the deer, give him some medicines, you know, and it made sense, and it was nicely paced, like you said.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite games, and I still remember distinctly the year because it was 2013. I think it came out in February or some shit like that. Now, I personally think that Tomb Raider was a better game. Tomb Raider's gameplay is a hell of a lot better than whatever Naughty Dog could do. Even though the first Tomb Raider is very close to Uncharted, there's a lot of shooting guys in that game. And then, of course, Grand Theft Auto 5 would have been my game of the year because that was, at least the single-player part was amazing. But it's like, otherwise, Uncharted would have been my game of the year. I mean, not Uncharted, freaking Last of Us. It was so good, and I felt that it was able to accomplish what I think that Uncharted never could quite do besides 2. 2 was really good. But it had the gameplay, and it had that story, and the story was even better. And, you know, I really liked Uncharted's story a pretty good bit, but it's just, this was like, I consider the ultimate movie game. And it's so many movie games that they've been done that are just, okay, the movie part of this game sucks, you know. And like Final Fantasy's a perfect example. Fucking Final Fantasy 13 makes no goddamn sense. 15 makes no sense. 12 makes no sense. And, you know, 10's pretty stupid too.
10's pretty goddamn stupid.
Yeah. A lot of that you could chalk up to the voice acting because they weren't, you know, that's one of the first games that had a lot of voice acting, but it's still just a dumb plot. And, you know, and think about the story in 8.
Yeah, the story in 8 was like, it's like by the time you get to that third disc, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, you know, we all grew up together in an orphanage. It's like we did.
Yeah. It makes the games, you know, for the NES or like Final Fantasy 2 or 4, you know, the Japanese 4. It makes those games that had a very limited scope compared because they didn't have CGI. They couldn't really envision what they wanted to do. It's just two little little square guys talking to each other. Those games come off as masterpieces of storytelling compared to once their freedom opened up. And then you get things like, you know, freaking Advent Children. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen Final Fantasy Spirits Within. I know it sucks. Everybody talks about how it sucks. It's a huge disaster. I mean, and honestly, those Resident Evil CGI movies, are they really good?
They're all none of them are good. They have a couple of scenes in each one that are like, oh, that's neat, but they are by no means like even memorable to that point.
I didn't even care to see the last one.
I can't even remember which one was the last one. Like I remember
Chris was in it.
Is that I think that was that Vendetta or something? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I just remember like Leon went John Wick all over some zombies, and Chris kind of went John Wick. I don't remember why they were doing it. I just remember them doing it like in a hallway.
Yep, and Leon fight a bunch of tyrants and or Mr. X's in that second one, and I'm
Yeah,
like, ugh.
and that sucked. God, it sucked. It's like the dude could control the liquors or whatever. It was dumb.
Yeah.
The first one, the Generation, it started off interesting, and then about by the time I got out of the airport, it wasn't interesting anymore.
Yeah, once you just get to the damn
The meat and potatoes of it, you're just like, this sucks.
The G virus guy, he's just going to be another Birkin, basically. He's like, oh, yep. I mean, and it's like, honestly, it felt to me like the stories in like even 6, even though 6 is stupid, was probably it felt like that more budget and time was put into 6's story. Definitely 7, obviously 7, and then of course 2 and 3, even though they don't have, I mean, the remakes, they don't have much story, but it's they're good, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that comes down to Last of Us upping the standards because you basically, for story-based games, you had your visual novels where you would read. Some of them have very, very good, well written. Some of the anime shit like Steins Gate is really well written, but as far as like a movie game, I was never fucking impressed. I don't know if you ever played the Rebel Assault games on PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were literally like full motion fucking games. Like even the game part was full motion, and you could go out of cover and shoot a guy and go back in cover, or you would like shoot CG spaceships.
Yeah,
and then they were god awful, and the guy was like a fake Luke Skywalker. It was kind of cool. It was like, oh well, here's Darth Vader, and he's actually has a scene and something, because at the time you didn't have. I don't even think you had. Were the prequels even out yet? That
was pre-prequels, because that was like what, like 95, 96, late 90s.
Yeah. And
I forget when Rebel Assault came out, but I remember like there's TIE Fighter, and then there was also there was another one. But yeah, it's like you said. I just remember it being like, it was almost like they were done. It's like you could probably attune them to like a DVD menu. Like, you remember you'd just be standing behind a podium, and it's like you hit a button, and he jumps out and shoots something, and it may or may not hit something, and then he comes back. It's just like, it was very basic, very simple. And the voice acting, it's like in Wing Commander. It was, even with people like Mark Hamill doing it, it wasn't exactly good, Yeah,
I mean, all of those like mid 95 games that are for your Sega CDs and shit, they tried to be the movie game, because that's pretty much the only thing you could do with that full motion video shit. They all suck. I don't know anyone that's like, man, I was that was great. It's like,
oh yeah, they were terrible. All horrible. I mean, it's like you look back at like, what was it, Dark Forces 2? I don't remember that much in Dark Forces being it, but I remember Dark Forces 2 had a lot of that shit, where he's like tracking down his, he ends up with a lightsaber. It was his dad's or whatever. It's like just really bad fucking CGI acting.
Yeah. I remember that. It was one where, dude, I get out of my mind. I can't really describe it. He had to fight like 8 Dark Force villains, right? Or
yeah. One of them was like floating or something. Like, I think he was only like half a person with a piece of a lightsaber or some shit.
I was one who shot lightning at him, and he turns around and looks at his fingers like, oh, it like, this might as well be a fucking porn. The porn acting's better than this shit. But that's what our movie games were until like you got to the 360 gen and the PS3 gen, and it took Sony a while to catch up to what Xbox, because Xbox was actually had games. PS3 sucked when it came out. I'm just a prophet of the truth there. You ponies can fuck off. They needed Uncharted. They needed Uncharted real bad to have something. And even though Uncharted 1 sucked from a gameplay, it still had a good story. You still really felt for Nathan Drake. And, he's kind of like the Indiana Jones type. And then a little bit more scoundrel or roguish. But it reached the fucking next level of Last of Us, man. It's like, I just felt Last of Us shit on Uncharted, man. It was just so damn good. And even though I only played it one time, I still remember how many times I did it 3 over a course of about a week. I played it 3 times, and I could not stop playing it when I went there. I wanted to figure out what happened next. And I remember I died maybe about 30 times. The clickers are rough, dude.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because you pretty much had to have, like, if you didn't have a shank, you're dead.
Yeah.
That's like me. I played it, like, one time, And then I went to start going back through it not too long ago, and it was like, I mean, it's one of those, like, I stopped midway because work got busy. But I mean, it's like one of those, like, you remember it. It's like you would play, you would get to like the next season, and you'd be like, oh crap, what's going on now? It was so awesome. It's almost like one of those. I wonder if it holds up playing it a second time. It's kind of like watching a really good movie, like for instance, a war movie. All war movies to me, I like them, but I don't ever need to see them twice because all the suspense is gone after you see it the first time. Like Black Hawk Down, really good movie, but like after the first time, it's like, okay, you know who's dying, who's not dying. It kind of, Saving Private Ryan was the same way for me. It's like after you see the war movie, and you're like, it's like you kind of wish you could go back and watch it for the first time again. And I imagine Last of Us is probably a lot like that too, because it had a lot of cool stuff in it.
It's so many of those games that I remember a lot about it. I don't know if I need to go back and play it. It's like because the gameplay at the end of the day is
subpar.
Yeah, it's still subpar.
I mean, it's not bad. It's like it's one of those you just kind of like. I mean, it was doable. It wasn't great. You didn't look. It was kind of like it's like you're just getting to the next cutscene. Like, I mean, it was entertaining. I like the fact that like you weren't completely fucked if you got spotted. You know how some games, like some of the old God, what was it? You know what I'm talking about? PlayStation. Well,
there would be games. I don't know. Yeah. There'd be forced stealth games where if you failed the stealth, you didn't matter whether you lived or died. It was already a game over.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of experiences like that, and you just kind of hope that the checkpoints were kind of small.
Yeah.
It's like this was more of the GoldenEye route where you could come in arms blazing if you know what you were doing, or you could funnel the guys in. It was usually best to play stealth a little bit as long as you can, and then maybe you could go guns blazing
and out the herd.
Yeah, I felt that the people were a little bit harder. I mean, you definitely want to deal with a clicker, but I felt the people were harder than the zombies were.
Yeah.
And I remember a couple points it was pretty tough where I ended up trying to funnel them down a hole, a corridor. This Uncharted 1 style. When in Uncharted 1, you drop into an area, this is where a set piece is going to happen. But you see a battle area out in the distance, but you just stay where in the area you kind of started at. It's like a choke point, and when you guys come around the corner, shoot them, and that way you kind of avoid the whole step because the game was so hard. That's what you needed to do. But I have fond memories of Last of Us. I never particularly like third person or first person on PlayStation controller, honestly, because of the two standard analogs. Although that's an Xbot problem. That's because I'm an Xbot. But
I'm never been a big, massive fan of the PlayStation controller. That's like one of those things. Like if Last of Us had been out on PC, I would have picked it on PC as opposed to the PlayStation, just so I could use an Xbox controller on it. It's like one of those. I guess it's like to each their own. As far as like the third person thing, there's certain games I like in third person, and there's certain games I like in first person. Like Resident Evil, I like that in a third person. Just because you get to see like if something's real close to you or like coming up, you know what I mean? You kind of get a little bit. It just feels more like it's like it pulls you in a little bit, or maybe it's probably just me. But like on Doom, I don't want third person. I want first person. Same with Duke Nukem. I did not like the Duke Nukem games once they went to that third person over the shoulder view. But for the same thing, I didn't like Resident Evil 7 because it was first person. So I guess it's just like, what you like in certain ones. But for some reason in like zombie games like that, like I liked Evil Within when it was over the shoulder. And same with this. I wouldn't have liked it if it was first person.
Yeah. Evil Within, boy. I mean, I did like playing that. But if you went back to try to play it on the Xbox One like I did, I guess you did. That game runs like shit. It runs real bad.
Yeah, it really does. I've yet to play the second one. I got it.
Me too.
I just haven't played it yet. It was one of those, I got a good deal on it, and it was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to play this one because I like the first one. But, yeah, you're right. It's like, because I went back to play it one time after I got the second one. I was like, oh, I need to freshen up on this, and it's like, it runs like shit.
Yeah, and then I would get on PC. It's pretty, when it built Bethesda, it's a Bethesda game, and once those games get a certain age, once they throw them on sale, it'll be a high high value. I've seen it
Yeah.
75% off. But I guess on to Last of Us 2, once I seen those leaks, I wanted to make a video immediately. The only reason I didn't make a video was because I'm like, I got to the point where it's like, well, what we just have Brian is like, how can we go and talk about what's pissing us off without actually talking about spoilers? And I'm like, I can't do that. I don't want to spoil people if they don't want to be spoiled. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to hold off. And then apparently it's good I did, because even channels as small as mine, if they had to put Last of Us in their fucking leaks or some shit in their damn title description, they would have got nailed. They got manually nailed too. And the way it generally works is there's like little third-party kind of shady companies that are hired out by the main teams. Like, so if Sony has copyrighted shit, they can have an algorithm or whatever that will claim. Usually sound's really easy to claim. Visuals are tougher to claim. Watermarks might be where they could try to focus on claiming. But you know, they'll have these little third-party companies represent them and go out and claim these videos. Usually it's just to get the money, the ad revenues, what they're after.
Yeah.
But this was to damn strike them down, to destroy the leaks, because they were doing huge damage, man. You're doing huge damage, especially to people who are on YouTube, which lean a little bit more moderate or right than Twitter does. But once they got to Twitter, it was like, dude, they were just spamming them fucking leaks with the golf club, or where she's standing over the golf club with the Duke Nukem fucking glasses on, the fucking buffed up arms. And little leaks was started. Joe gets killed. Oh, in Ellie too, or some shit. It turned out that wasn't the case. We didn't know at the time, and so they end up thinking that the leaks came from it was like a group of people who had hacked into some older files into Naughty Dog, and they just had a bunch of those leaks, and they didn't publish them. But apparently somebody went through and saw the leaks and was pissed off, probably like we were, and said, fuck this. Throw that shit on the internet. Throw that shit on the internet. So it's like, and I had a link, and so I seen a lot of it, man. I seen a lot of it, and I could verify. And when you would see in the people in the forums like, oh, that's not true. That's not true. I'm like, yeah, the fuck it is. I seen it with my own damn two eyes. And they're like, oh, they'll take it out before the game comes out, because this was an older bill. It was from January or some shit. Like,
it ain't gonna change the story that damn much.
No, the way these movie games work, the actors and shit have already done their motion capture and voice acting actually years in advance. They've done it several years in advance.
Like, that's just done. It's in the can. I mean, it's like at this point, it's like, yeah, we're just going in and doing, filming. We're just doing our shit. It's done. The story's done. The book is written. Yeah. So, yeah, that's why I was like, people were like, oh, they're going to change it. It's like, this is not like a movie where you just re-edit the entire movie to like, oh, yeah, they changed it around. Totally this ain't fucking Highlander 2, where you get the fucking, oh, we're cutting out every mention of a different planet. No. That shit don't work like that. Fuck it. Nope.
Especially since they've had trouble with what's called crunch, which is they're trying to really focus in, and they overwork their people towards last year, the 6 months of the game, and try to get it out. And so to avoid crunch, you need to have your story in the can, what you're doing, and your locations in the can. And so that last year, you're really trying to optimize it, as opposed to just, we need to redo fucking 40,000 things, or redo entire sections, or, oh, we had half the game in Seattle, but we're going to do it in Los Angeles now. It's like, well, what the fuck if you have a year left to build your game?
Yeah.
And you don't have your location nailed down.
Now, when they delayed it before, what was their reason again? I know we talked about it, and I forgot what it was. Was that like coronavirus related? You remember when they delayed it? Originally, it was supposed to come out like a month ago.
It's originally was. There's been delayed several times. When the last delays was for I think April or May or some shit.
Yeah, wasn't it supposed to be out in April, and then it got delayed? But it's something.
They used coronavirus, I think, as an excuse. My think is what they were going to do was the same thing that's happening to Cyberpunk right now. It just got delayed yesterday. It was going to be September. They delayed it to November the 19th. And there ain't no fucking doubt in my mind. The reason to delay that shit to November 19th so that you hit the new consoles. So it, like, you know, you're looking at PlayStation 5, right? It might have that Miles Spider-Man game. That's the only fucking thing they say is a holiday they release. And all of that presentation, the PS5 conference, those are not launch games. Yo guys are getting tricked if you think they're launch games.
GTA 5 is not even a launch game.
Yeah, you think Gran Turismo is going to be fucking launched 2020? You're out of your damn mind. That's a PlayStation Pro 5 launch game right there. And so they're going to have that Spider-Man game. It says holiday. That's the one they'll get out. And honestly, that's bullshit if they make it only on 5, because that's a PlayStation 4 game. It's a side expansion from a PlayStation 4 game. If they say it's 5 only, that's bullshit. But they might try to do that. It's just like Resident Evil 8 saying that it's only going to be for Series X and PlayStation 5. That's a load of shit too. They're going to do that because people, when they buy a big fucking thing, especially this $500, they want something that's going to, justify what they have.
Yeah, exactly. You don't just go out and buy the brand new console and be like, you remember how it was back in the day. You better have some damn launch titles, because if you're going to go drop $300 on a PlayStation 2, you damn sure want something to play on it. Yeah. Besides the goddamn DVD.
Yeah, for me it was even though I didn't even play racing games like that, I bought Gran Turismo and I bought Gauntlet Dark Legacy, and I thought I was going to play a lot of Dark Legacy. Fuck no, I played Gran Turismo. I played the shit out of it because it's like, this game looks like real life.
At the time, it did, man. And you know what? It still looked pretty damn good for a launch title for fucking PlayStation 2.
It wasn't launched.
Well, it wasn't launched. No, you're right.
It was like 6 or 8 months later.
But still, for that early gen, it looked really damn good.
Yeah.
Then they fucked it up with Part 4.
The big launch titles for PlayStation, and this has always been a problem with PlayStation. The big launch titles were for PlayStation 2 that I remember.
Warriors.
It probably was Dynasty Warriors too. But no, I think it was Kessen. That'd have been Kessen, not even Dynasty Warriors. But it was Time Splitters 1 is a launch title for PlayStation 2. That would have been the one
that was the sleeper hit, because I remember knowing some people that bought one the day of, and they're like, that Time Splitters game is actually better than anything else. It was really good.
And then Street Fighter EX3. Yep. And the day it came out, they got it out as fast as they could for the Japanese version. There was only 4 games, and that was one of them for the Japanese version. And it sucked. It ran real bad. They had it fixed and optimized by the time they got it to the United States. But that's your shit. That's what they had. And look at PS3. That would have been Resistance, the first Resistance game. That was pretty much it. And then for PS4 was even shittier. It was Killzone Shadowfall. Jason got that and it sucked ass. Then it was like fuck this. This is crap. And so it's like, what is your PS5 only game? It's just, you can slide that fucking Last of Us 2 in there, even though it's a PlayStation 4 game. If it comes out right around PS5, they'll consider a PS5 game, and they'll all get it, even if they haven't played the first one. They'll get it because there's something to justify the system. That's what I thought they were going to do, but no. Then the leaks happened, man.
And you have a choice, man.
The indefinite delay became real fast. I'm sure they wanted to get around Ghost of Tsushima, because now Last of Us just came out. I think Ghost of Tsushima is only like a month out. It's going to be quick. And so, and it probably, who knows how it's going to do. I know it'll probably be received by the audience better than this one.
That's what was so weird. It's like, you want to talk about the Metacritic score. It's like you start seeing all these reviews. They're like 95 out of 100, 99. It's like all good reviews. But it's at the same time, you're just like, well, the game ain't out yet. And it's like, it's one of those things of like, it's kind of like Rotten Tomatoes, except I think Rotten Tomatoes is way more accurate than Metascore. But sometimes, you just tell by looking at them, like, oh, this person just didn't like this movie because maybe it's not their type thing or something or whatever. And you start looking at this, and you're just like, man, these are all giving it good reviews. But at the same time, you're just like, you've seen the leaks, so you're like, this is I know what I saw, and I know what I'm probably not going to like. so you start seeing all this, and you're like, these people that never even played the first one, or just like, I don't know.
Of course, the
Just
IGN one always gets your attention. The Last of Us 2 is a masterpiece that involves the gameplay, cinematic story and rich world design, the original in every way. I doubt it. I seriously doubt it.
I've watched a lot of gameplay things over the past week, just seeing if I don't think it evolved very much. It looks like it's the same old shit, and not that it was bad, but it's not like, oh, this is a whole new revamped system.
Here's the thing, man. Okay, Last of Us was about 15 hours. Uncharted 4 is about 14. They're long on the end, and they might be too long for what we're playing. If you're playing a Gears of War type game, the single player, and it's not even good as Gears of War. I mean, none of these Naughty games are even as good as the first Gears of War as far as gameplay. Can you get 25 hours? Because this is a 25-hour game. It's somewhere between 20 and 25.
Yeah.
It's like imagine to keep the pacing how you're going to have to do, or a 25-hour movie. Imagine that. Can you keep a movie engaging for 25 hours? I'm really suspicious not. There's been plenty of games I've played that are that outstay their welcome. Then they would only have their gameplay to fall back on. Alien Isolation is a perfect example. That game should be half the length of what it is, especially when every time you play it, you're so scared you want to shit your pants. How much can you handle of that? It's ridiculous.
The anxiety levels alone drive you nuts.
Yeah. And so I tried to do it 3 or 4 times, and I had to be like 6 or 7 months after the damn game came out. I finally sat through and got through it. I made sure I recorded everything, and made sure I put up a video every day. So maybe one person was expecting my video on the back of my mind, and I'm like, I got to get this shit out. I've got to play it, or otherwise I might not have ever beaten it, even though the game's great. Neo is another example. Dark Souls is intense shit, but they're only losing about 20 or 30 hours. Neo is 60, and so Neo overstays its fucking welcome, and that's what I suspect when I play it. When I finally get to play Last of Us 2, that it's going to overstay its welcome really bad. Now, there's a guy from Australia named Skill Up. He does YouTube videos. And so he's a YouTuber, kind of like Angry Joe, just not as popular. But he hated this shit. He fucking hated it. And he said about 4 or 5 hours, he was just done. And I suspect that since he went straight from playing the first Last of Us right to the second one, because he had just reviewed the other one just like last week.
Oh, yeah.
He double dosed, man. He double dosed on the shit, and he's fucked.
You got to have a palate cleanser, man. It's like, every once in a while, it's like if you go for something that's really intense, then you got to follow it up with something kind of like, fucking Lego Batman or something,
Yeah.
Just a palate cleanser, something quick, something different.
Yeah, but I think it had something. There was an article about from Paul Tassi. He's from Forbes, and he said it has 44 perfect scores. Now, a lot of people bitch even about the perfect score part because no game's perfect. In my opinion, if you can't give a game a 10 because you don't give 10s to perfect games, then by your default thing of giving things 9s, 9 becomes a new perfect.
Yeah, that's your new 10. So that's like it's fucking mute.
Yeah, it's like a masterpiece can have a flaw in it. Most games would have flaws in it. There's some that Ocarina of Time is a 10 out of 10, but if you went back and played it,
it's hard to go back and play.
Yeah, by today's standards, that game wastes your fucking time all the time.
A lot of it. I like KOTOR, First Knights of the Old Republic. Love that freaking game. It's like it has its flaws, like the part where you're wearing the freaking the dang ocean suit and you're walking around in the ocean at about like half a mile an hour. Yeah, that part sucks. But you know what? The rest the game's great. But it's not perfect. I mean, there's always going to be something which they actually did tweak that in the second one, where you walked really fast for no reason. But, you knew exactly why that was there when you played that second one.
Or there'll be a difficulty spike. A certain boss is too hard.
Yeah.
Or there'll be a lull. Or
there'll be an Ashley level.
Yeah. I never got Grand Theft Auto Online to work. I was pissed off. I was literally pissed off. I tried to play it the day it came out. I was so pissed off. I never touched it again. I still think GTA 5 is a 10 out of 10. even though I've only played essentially probably half the game, it's still a 10 out of 10. But so in that part, I can understand if they think this is amazing that they should give it a 10. And the point is, why do they think it's amazing? And this is something that Skill Up mentioned that, and this is fucking key. I don't know if you knew this. They were unable. They could not talk about any of the Abby sections at all. They couldn't even mention Abby.
Yeah, it was like, what was it? The first third of the game was the only part they could talk about.
I think it's like the first. I think it's like to show the first 5 hours and only talk about the first 5 hours.
Yeah, it was like very short. Like it was like couldn't do a whole lot.
And you get a good impression about where the game's going to go from there. But there's been plenty of games that have fallen apart later in, and so that I always, when I do a review, I always actually beat the game before I do the damn review. Now, some people like Jim Sterling, they do not beat the game. And that's one of the reasons why he eventually said, "Fuck it, quit doing reviews." He just gives a Jim impression, so he doesn't. He can just play the game for a couple hours, and if it's miserable, then he'll just let you know he's miserable, and he'll just don't score it no more because he gave I think he gave Breath of the Wild like a 7 or an 8, and the Nintendogs could not handle that shit at all. They DDoSed him and everything else. And then you've already saw this. I would go on Game FAQs, and already the Nintendogs had to know. They had to know that even with all of these hundreds, that it's actually rated less than Breath of the Wild. They needed that shit. It was very important that the Breath of the Wild was rated higher than the pony game. You can't let the ponies win at anything, man.
No, they got to fail at all of them. If it matters, And
so even though they can't talk about 3/4 of the game, these people still gave it a perfect score. And so so then you're going to get the allegations that they're all paid reviews.
Payola, man.
Yep. Big bags of money dropped down on their fucking checks written out. I don't believe that at all. There's a little bit more there going on than I think it's just a bag of money. I'm
sure it's not so much the money as the point of just like, if you shit on the hand that feeds you, it's not going to go well.
Yeah, they're bed buddies. They work together. Mitch Dyer used to work at IGN. He was a review guy. And then he went from there to work at EA, and he freaking wrote the story for Battlefront 2 story. He was one of the writers. They had to, at least they disclose that. It used to not even disclose that, but there's a whole lot of buddies and, everybody's Twitter followers and their friends and stuff. It's a fucking damn West Coast thing. It's a down San Francisco, San Diego type thing. You got a lot of the studios are over there. I think Microsoft's based in Washington. I want to say the Nintendo's headquarters for the United States. It's in Redmond as well. So you got like Washington, you got the Oregon area, you got the damn around Seattle, the whole fucking West Coast, man. They're a bunch of buddies, and so there's this girl named Alana Pierce that she used to work for IGN, and then she did a video recently about all these 10s out of 10. She said she would not give it a 10 out of 10. But she said she couldn't review it at the same time because she's literally friends with Troy Breaker. That's the voice actor for Joel. So it's like all these bed buddies, and she says that a lot of times these guys are, that these are legitimately what they think, but they're put so much focus on what she called high art, which just sounds like pretentious shit to me. Yeah. As a gamer, it sounds pretentious, but I can understand that we want to elevate this movie game way up there. So it's about story and presentation, and that's where your score's coming in. And then high art, and then she felt that she was right. Their audience wasn't actual gamers; it was their Twitter followers. I mean, they would play games, but it would be literally this like echo chamber, man. Libtards, as you say.
It's all their own little island, man.
Yeah, and it comes like this sort of collective. And I do know, I've heard them talk about, when they were reviewing games, that they would sometimes text each other about, well, I remember it was Vince Janito. He was a guy who got Me Too canceled from IGN because he likes them big titties, dude, apparently. But she didn't like him. He tried to get with the freaking Too Much Water girl, the girl who reviewed Pokemon, said it had too much water.
Yeah.
She goes around and causes a bunch of trouble wherever she goes. But Vince would sit there and he did fighting games. He was one of their better down reviewers, and so he would sit there and he said he was talking with people about Street Fighter V. He's like, well, from a gameplay it was amazing, but from everything else it was like fuck. And so he gave it like an 8 or something. And he pissed off everybody. but he just said, it literally sit there and said he's talking to other people. He's talking to other people reviewing the game. And so it's not to say it's a conspiracy type thing, but they're all kind of in the same boat together.
Yeah, as like I said, I mean, it's like, they're not going to crap on, they're all there, Yeah. Why would you do that? It'd be a bad idea.
Have you ever heard of Gamergate?
Yeah.
Now, back when Gamergate happened, like 2014, I mean, it was kind of hard to understand. When I just first heard it, it was like literally some hoochie named Zoe Quinn had made some game that no one gives a fuck called Depression Quest, and then she was sleeping with the guy who reviewed it. It's a no-name game. No one knows what the fuck it is. It's indie hipster shit. And then ends up, so she was sleeping like 4 or 5 guys in the damn, game journalist industry. And once people got kind of wind of that, because I think she had an ex-boyfriend and got pissed off, so he pushed it out. He pushed it up and made a big deal out of that. People just piled on her ass. And what she did was she got with her gaming friends and her review buddies, and then everybody besides IGN, so Kotaku, Polygon, and everything else, they all did anti-gamer articles about the same time. So like gamers are dead was one of the articles.
Yeah.
And that's where the Gamergate shit really got in. And there's literally aspects of this shit here. It's kind of the access journalism. Is like you're part of the in group. You're always going to get your review copy first, because if you get a review copy early, that's a big deal, because the day the damn embargo might lift before the game's even out, just like this game. So it's out. It's able to review it like a week or two early, even though they can't say anything because fucking Sony won't let them say anything. They can still give it their 10 out of 10, man.
Oh yeah. Give it that thumbs up, man. Be like, oh yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. And the IGN guy, his name is Jonathan Dorbush, and he's also he's kind of like the head Sony editor. He runs the podcast. And I'm not saying that they don't shit on games. I mean, they shit on Death Stranding, which should have got shitted on.
Yeah. But, that game, literally, I was like, maybe this is like above my. I mean, I was like, maybe somebody because literally when it came out, I'm like, God, this just does not seem intriguing to me at all. I was like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this is maybe there's somebody out there that's like wants to do freaking, mail missions, mail delivery, all the, like, you know what I mean? It's like delivery missions, the whole game of that. It's like where you're just, and I was just like, that it just did not appeal to me at all. And I was like, maybe I'm just too old. Maybe it's just not my thing. Maybe I'm out
it's
of
not
touch.
that.
I realized, no, it's not.
No, you're not a Kojima stan. And plenty of people have said that that's the best Kojima game ever. Because, the fuck no, it isn't. Metal Gear 5 is way better. Although a lot of people hate that because it doesn't have a lot of Kojima shit in it. Although, hell, I liked because it just got to the gameplay, man. Let's skip the cutscenes. I knew they were going to be stupid.
Oh, yeah.
And then I actually like Metal Gear. I think a lot of people also, when you beat the game and it says Chapter 1 end, so it's like, oh, you just beat Chapter 1 after 30 hours. And they thought that all the rest of the game wasn't just going to be post-game fucking fluff, and it was. If you would have stopped at 30 hours, you would have seen, you'd have been all right. You played a bunch more shit, and it was like you felt bad at the end because they just copied missions.
It's like, now Chapter 1.5.
Yeah, but say if Jonathan Dornbush had shit on The Last of Us, and then he's got to go into his podcast, and all of the ponies who look up to him believe in him. He's let them all down, man. He just shit on, the Ultimate Pony game. And that's another reason why it scores so damn high. It's this first party just you know, if you're Sony and you're Nintendo and your first party games are out, it's just going to be plus 5 points, man, plus 5.
Yeah, you gotta have Mario and Zelda be high scoring games. Even though some of them aren't, it's like some. Even though, like, I mean, you know, Skyward Sword sucked, thought it was horrible. Still, though, it's like, oh, it's first party. You gotta say something good about it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's look at Can I just type in Skyward Sword here? I don't know what that is. That's not it. Skyward Sword. This type in Zelda. There's no search found for fucking Zelda. Really? There you go.
Maybe it's supposed to be Legend of.
The Legend of. Look at that. It's a 93. Must play on Metacritic.
Yeah.
It's fucking shit.
Yeah. That game is just dog shit.
This
right
right
see
here.
What Link Between Worlds was.
This right here. 95 Twilight Princess. Fuck no. That's an 80s game. 91. So they shit on that a little bit. I would say that's a goddamn 7 out of 10, man.
It wasn't bad.
You're just playing. You're playing the official fan fiction for Zelda 3.
Yep. That's all it is. Straight up all it is, man.
This I can understand a little bit more. Wow, there's a difference. I do not think this is a 96 at all. But because it's Legend of Zelda, it's therefore a 96.
Yeah.
This one I understand. And we waited years and years and years for that.
Go back up there. Link's Awakening in 87. Fuck them.
They must have bitched on the. They probably bitched on the price, or maybe the
slowdown.
Which slowdown? Yeah, if you're doing a remaster, why is your game slowing down?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It was, you know, it's like if I had to say anything about, you know, that game, it's like it had slowdown. I wasn't surprised about the price. I was just like, it's Nintendo. I mean, it's not like they're just putting out like an HD like upscale. It's not like, oh man, now you can play it in 1080p. I mean, it's like a whole freaking new game basically, but it's the same game, but it was completely a whole new engine, whole new game basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, yeah, it could have been cool if it was $39.99, but shit, that wasn't gonna happen. I mean, it's unrealistic to think it would happen.
I got like a basic list. I'm just checking my shit off. I'm not going through it in order, just checking it off. But you know, first party fucking games plus 5 points, man. Plus 5.
It's like the SAT. You get 20 points for writing your name down. It's like, oh, if your first day starts with Zelda or Mario, you know.
Unless you're Microsoft, it's safe to shit on Microsoft.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never got that. I've never understood that. That's just fangirlism right there is what that is. But there's plenty of Nintendo fans, and so they're like, "Oh, Nintendo fans! These are Nintendo games. Nintendo games are like just mad Nintendo." And it's like, I don't know about that, dude. They've done plenty of copying over the years. Look at that fucking Switch controller.
Yeah. Definitely. And then, you know, at least they tried something different with Breath of the Wild because, dude, those Zeldas were getting stale as fuck. Yeah, they definitely were. That was the main thing about Skyward Sword. Is like, I never even finished it. I was just like, I just couldn't get interested in it. It was kind of boring, and it was like, I'll wait. Of course, at that point, they were like, we're going to have Twilight Princess on the Wii. And it was like, oh, cool. And then, you know, the Wii U, I mean. And then it was like, by that point, it was out on the Switch. And, you know, they delayed the hell out of that for like a year. So, but I knew that was going to happen. Did the same thing with Twilight. I was thinking Breath of the Wild, but yes, Twilight Princess. And that freaking Wii version where you couldn't use a regular controller with it sucked ass.
Yeah. Or Skyward, I've never played it, but I'm assuming being forced to use the motion controls would drive you nuts, especially if it doesn't do what you want. It pisses you off. And so how do you get a 90+ rating if your controls are not going to be great? It's only because it's Zelda. And this is Last of Us 2, so therefore 100 fucking, 4,400 plus rankings or whatever. But then we get to the user reviews, Chief.
Hey man, there's like 5,000 positives out of like, you know.
There's 5,000 ponies because on if you go into the PlayStation store page, right, if they pre-ordered the game, they could have reviewed it. So it had 5,000 something.
Before it even came out.
Yeah, 5,005 ranks before it even came out, before anybody's played it. It has to be perfect, because how could it not be? It's fucking Last of Us 2. It can't be a fuck up. Who would fuck this up?
It's like, yeah, the guy in charge.
The guy in charge. Yeah, they're losing. They're losing up here. And see, this is the battle of the days. And, who knows if, maybe Sony's got enough sway. Although Sony also knew this was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
They knew it well in advance. But at the same time, you've got these user scores. Game's 25 hours. It ain't been out for 25 hours.
Yeah, that's what's interesting is, like, the game's still, I'm sure there's somebody that, like, got it somewhere and they played it all the way through and it, just have, like, just damn dog path the fuck out of it,
It got released early in, like, I don't know, some country like Finland or Denmark or something. That got released early. And there were, so the complete, everything was out. And so all of your, the leaks, which couldn't be true, was verified already true like a week or two ago. Yeah. It's so the 13,000. This is a bomb. This is people rage hating on the game, and of course you're immediately going to look. It's like, well, go back one. Oh, well, this is what the left think of it. This is what the right think of it. These are alt-right people giving the bad scores. No, that would be severely disingenuous to say that.
Yeah.
People get pissed off about the Joel thing. They're real pissed off.
Well, I mean, it's like, from what I saw, it's like, basically, it's like, dude was like a survivor, like, pretty knowledgeable, and he gets caught like really easy, and then just fucking damn obliterated. Like, it's almost like literally like, let's just torture and fucking kill him off real easy early on in the game, but it's just like, fuck it. I mean, it's like, what is he, Boba Fett? I mean,
we tell her to, and apparently he's killed off really earlier than we think he is. And there was a trailer released this year where he tells her, like, I'm not going to let you do this alone. Like, Joel's going to go with her. That's what you're expecting, because that's what the whole fucking first game was about. But the actual, what happened was, that's not even Joel. They put him in there for the trailer itself. It's actually an Asian guy. I think his name's Jesse. I'm not sure. And so that, you've heard about that the past few days, right? Okay.
Yep. And it's like, because I've seen that scene. It's like, it's that exact scene, and I'm like, that's not Joel. It's like, they fucking just, bullshitted that. That's like some of that stuff where you go watch a trailer to a movie, and then you watch the movie, and you're like, some of that shit in the trailer wasn't even in the freaking movie. It's part of that. It's that damn sleight of hand shit to be like, oh, we're misdirecting you to here.
Yeah, and I know the intention is to make that the big swerve to be a surprise. Well, they ain't surprised no one because they got leaked.
Yeah,
but the people playing it without spoiling it, even though we probably spoiled it for Brian. The people playing, people.
Sorry about that, Brian.
It's like they're going through, and apparently it's abrupt. That's what I heard. It's abrupt, and so it's fairly early. They're going to get the same fucking opinion that we do, and I think that's intentional. It's intentional to get the audience pissed off at Abby.
Yeah.
I don't.
And then you have to play for players half the fucking game. Who wants to do that?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell he's got going on there besides subvert your reputation, like he's trying to burn itself down. Mr. Medicor put up a thing of Garth Brooks. He had the Garth Brooks with the black and white, like with the damn. It says Last of Us 1, and then it had the one where he's Chris, whatever it is, the rock star.
Gates.
Yeah, Chris Gates. That's Last of Us 2, where it's like Garth Brooks wants to burn down his own self or whatever.
So shout out to Gary. It's like, enjoy that Chris Gaines album. He bought that.
Yeah, he just wants to shit on his own self. Yep. And maybe this is what's going on here. Some kind of like just self-hate or self-loathing or something.
Is it just one of those things like you're just doing it for the shock value of just doing it?
You think it's that easy? Because is it a Freddy got fingered fucking moment where Tom Green has $1 bazillion, so let's fucking whack on horse dicks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, does it come down? It's kind of like, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like Walking Dead. It's like, let's kill off this character. Why? Because it'll be shocking.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it'll get people talking. Not in the way you want them to, but they'll be like, oh, did you see such and such died? Or just like The Last Jedi. The entire Last Jedi movie felt like it was one of those things like, let's do this. They won't be expecting this. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's stupid. That's why we're not expecting it. I mean, it's like
at least they waited to 8 movies in on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't say, "Oh, Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader was gay the whole time."
Yeah. Don't worry, that'll be for like episode 10 when they come out with it. Him and Grand Moff Tarkin were choking each other with the Force, man. That's why he was listed to. That's why he was so goddamn bad. Not because they blew up the Death Star, because they blew him up. That's why he was listening to that one dude when he told him to let go. He was like, all right.
I find your lack of gay disturbing.
He was freaking jealous, man. The dude still had his eyebrows and fucking, full head of hair. And he's like, motherfucker, talk back to me. Moff Tarkin was like, save it for the bedroom.
It doesn't make any sense. And I do want to hope through the play and to see how they somehow try to make you feel for Abby, because I don't think it works. I don't think it's going to work. Skill Up was not allowed to say Abby. He just said it was a side thing, and then he could say that it did not work. It did not work. Yeah. He is not feeling anything for those characters. And as you know from the memes I have on the front, they have a fuck scene, and it's like literally, Neil, where's the goddamn thing at? It's like, yeah, it looks. That's what I thought too. As soon as, and of course, people now put it together. As soon as I seen this guy right here spit on Joel, I'm like, that looks like Neil Druckmann. Did he just spit on the guy he made? Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
It just spit on him. And I've got some things where he tries to talk about putting women in games. We'll get to that in a second. But where the hell's my damn? Where's my shit at? But yeah, and so that's got way more to do than the alt-right or super high or just conservatives or however you Nazis, however you want to frame it, that's what's got people pissed off, because it's like betrays the first one.
Exactly.
We'll just read a couple. Thoroughly disappointed with story, gameplay, graphics are the best the PS4 has ever seen. However, you're lying. This is nothing. This can't be nothing. It's literally not true. What the fuck are you talking about? There's been for nothing. Oh, they're talking about the end. Have you heard about that?
Which one is that? I'm trying to think.
The leaks do not have the very end. So the beach scene's the end, apparently.
The one where they're fighting?
Yeah, where they're fighting, and I think I've not seen this, so that was in the leaks. I haven't seen it, but apparently Ellie chokes her into the water, about drowns her.
And then lets her go.
Lets her go, which doesn't make much sense. And I don't know if that's where the fingers get bit off or before. Because I heard that Abby bites her 2 fingers off, so she can't play guitar. And then she kind of freaks out because she's, Abby's kind of like a mixed zombie thing. And so she's like, did she infect herself? But Abby lives at the end. That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard from people who've beaten the game. I haven't seen it, so.
Well, that's what I read up on. And it was like, so let me get this straight. It's like somebody does that, and then it's like, I guess it's like, oh, well, you lost your dad, and I lost kind of sort of my dad. It's like, I guess we're even. No, fuck that. You would not be even by no means. You would be, you'd want that character. You would want to kill that character with, I mean, you'd want to finish it off. You know what I'm saying?
It's the driving force for 3/4 of the game. Is like
revenge. Exactly. Revenge. I mean, it's like, and then you get to it, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like that. It's like a popcorn fart at the end. It's just like, no, you want to beat the fuck out of that character. That'd be the whole point,
Yeah. I don't. A lot of people say it's a great looking game. And I want to also have to suspect it's like, okay, if your gameplay is polished for the most part and your presentation is amazing, that would you just freaking take the golden turd and still give it 100 out of
Yeah, I like the replayability. None. Yeah, because if you didn't like it, you wouldn't go back and play it. And then also none lovable characters. Exactly. If you could get attached to the freaking characters, and the other ones like Joel and Ellie, and even like the brother, I forget his name.
I forgot I think it might have been Tommy or something.
Tess, Tommy. Yeah, Tess. I mean, you like those characters. It's like you actually gave a crap what happened to them. You know.
Yeah, even and I don't. It was a black man and his younger black kid who
Yes.
turns over. Even that gets you.
Yeah,
But
exactly. You're like, oh crap, that's because at first, like, you don't know if you should trust them, and
yeah,
then it's like you kind of end up working together, and then it's like kind of like, oh, and it's like a brief moment of the game of like, it just in that brief moment, you're like, oh yeah, you kind of like those two.
they had me in 10 minutes in because Sarah's my favorite Virtua Fighter character of all time, and so you had a little blonde girl named Sarah get killed by the zombies or whatever, and I'm like,
She got shot. She didn't get
yeah,
killed by
I
zombies.
can't remember. I can't remember what it was. She
got shot by the soldier.
okay. She got killed by the zombie soldier. In my mind, man, I'm still sharp about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this game is going to be something special. I knew it. I knew immediately it was going to be something special. This guy says he gave it a 1, so it's better than a 0. Critics are useless. No one should ever listen to them ever again. They're proving to me that they are not to be trusted. On to the review. Graphics, the only thing good about this shit. Everything else is mediocre or downright awful. Not involved one bit, even though Jonathan Dorbush just said that it's a masterpiece that is involved in all ways. This Lex guy says, fuck no. Yeah. Walking simulator. More than a movie than a game. It's enjoyable if it had a good story, but goddamn is it bad. It broke my heart, and not in a good way. It's spit in the face of the entire fan base. Joel literally gets spit on. Yeah, you feel that shit, and you are pissed. I was enraged. I'm pretty sure I texted you or you gotta go see this shit. And I was fucking pissed for several days. It took me to calm down because I wasn't super hyped. I was gonna wait, but it's like, what would I be waiting for now? I'll be waiting for fucking massive disappointment.
Yeah, exactly. That's like I'm telling you. Like I was like day one, and I was like, yeah, I'll get Last of Us 2 when it comes out. But it's like once the leaks hit, and I'm like, if this is true, I'm not even bothering. It's kind of like watching like I don't know if you remember the movie Iron Eagle. I
think I might have seen it, but about a long time ago.
Either way, it's like well, no, kind of sort of. Either way, guy freaking the hero of the first one, basically the kid that went and got his dad out of like some far east concentration camp thing or whatever. Anyway, he goes to get in the very second one at the very beginning of the second, they didn't get the same guy back. So what they did is they killed him in a dogfight in like the first minute of the second movie. And you immediately just did not give a shit about the second movie as soon as that happened.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, why bother? That's the character I liked from the first movie. Why do I even give a shit?
Or even more stupid, Mortal Kombat Annihilation just kills off Johnny Cage. Fucking Raiden's a different character. The only two people who carry over are Liu Kang and Katana. And then everybody else is not even the same fucking person. And,
nope.
Sometimes you can pull it off. A lot of times you can't. I thought that the guy in Solo was a good Han Solo. He wasn't Harrison Ford. He managed to be Han Solo. Because Han Solo's been done by different actors for a couple of times for voiceovers and games and shit anyway.
Yeah.
But that could work. Will it ever be a super blockbuster movie? No, I just thought it was okay. But you get rid of your characters and especially the characters you're really rooting for. And so when I heard that, the first thing in the leaks, I heard the wrong shit that Ellie was killed too. I'm like, what the goddamn fuck is that?
Why even bother playing the game at that point?
That was particularly bad. This guy says he don't mind the woke stuff when it's forced down your throat. That's really the key. If he feels forced, it feels the entire game was built around it. So if people don't like it, you could pull the victim card and say that they're isterphobes, they're transphobes, even though Abby is not trans. We'll get to that, sir. And the game director to preach so much about sexualizing women in games, and then it's bad. I've got that. We'll pull that up in a minute. But then they only put Abby in a sex scene where his character insert is fucking her in the butt or up the back, however you want to do it. Go in and try both. I mean, it's Apocalypse, man. Maybe he has got a radiation double dong.
Maybe so.
I can't unsee that. What the fuck were you thinking? I'd rather watch two girls, one cup, or repeat while eating. Let me tell you a secret, game devs. People playing games for entertainment and they'd rather see pretty things while doing it than ugly, excuse me, fugly ones. This is never going to change. How is sexualizing men never issue? I don't know, Mortal Kombat 11, they're all fucking all the guys in their boxer shorts while most of the girls were covered up until the DLC. Once the DLC came out, they started doing revealing clothing. Yeah, that's some shit. Yeah, that's some shit too. People don't want to be preached. That's the key. That's the key to going down the Black Lives Matter as well. People do not want to be preached. It's like, yeah, they'll be for it until you push their ass, and then they're just going to be, you know what? I want to vote for fucking Trump. Voting for Trump doesn't mean you're anti-Black Lives Matter. You're just fucking slow this shit down. Why you got to cancel everything? In a video, the choice should be yours. I don't know if I could guess. I'm okay with. I don't know what he's saying about that. I don't know if he's saying whether the game should be more open-ended or not. I mean, if Neil Druckmann is going to tell his story, it's really his job to tell the story.
Yeah.
If it's shit, it's shit. Personally, I don't think that. I don't know if you ever heard about Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, I remember vaguely something about it. I remember people not liking it.
Yeah. Now, neither me or you have ever played them, right? Or you played the first one? I never played them.
I never played the first one either.
Yeah,
I think I played a demo or something one time.
Yeah, Brian would have been the person to talk to. But, you spent the first two games and I guess 9/10 of the third one making choices for your character. And you're just like, the choice should be yours. But at the end, they did not give you a choice on the ending. And I don't think it was very optimistic or whatever. It didn't even matter. That ending could still be there. The problem is you spent 3 games giving people a choice. And so they should feel like it should be going somewhere. They should have an ending that's catered to what their choices are. And they just cop out and blank it out. But if I can understand that while people were pissed, I can never understand that. Now, that was ultimately their decision. But, you feel like you're getting shit on, but you have a choice-based game and there's no choices at the end. But Last of Us don't really give you a choice. It's in my opinion, if Neil Druckmann wants to burn the fucking world down, then that's allegedly his thing. He owns the characters, kind of like fucking George Lucas. But we are going to raise the fuck hell. We're not going to buy this shit. Hell no.
Yeah.
Last of Us 2 is going to sell a lot because of Last of Us 1. Last of Us 3 ain't going to sell shit, dude. There might not even be one.
That's the question now. It's like, will there be a third? I mean, I guess you could go back to...
You leave it open-ended, so they're going to be buddies.
Yeah, I mean, like the next thing you know, it's like, they get a relationship.
Abby's just a better dad than... she has better man hands than Ellie, who's only got 8 fingers, so she'll have to be the butch for fucking so let's go and look at the Neil Druckmann. This is straight from his Wikipedia page, so I'm going to read the whole thing here. It says Druckmann is a regular advocate of gender equality in video games, citing Anita Sarkeesian, and you know who that is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't even want to agree. Going to go there. As influence, he has presented the Ambassador Award to Sarkeesian in 2014. I got that in the meme somewhere. Advocating their projects. When Druckmann found out that he regularly wrote about white, straight Christian males, I guess Joel characters, and Nathan, he was prompted to instead create more diverse characters, which started in that side game. Well, it started in Uncharted 4. You said you played through that, right?
I played through, yes. I had to think about it for a minute, yeah.
Yeah, there's a point where there's that one commando girl, and I think she's black. I can't remember. She just whoops the fuck out of Nathan Drake and her brother. I can understand the brother getting beat, but and literally in like the first couple hours of Uncharted 3, he beats the shit of like entire bars of like bald-headed English dudes.
Yeah, he was pretty he was pretty scrappy. So It's like I remember at that point, it's just like, damn, she must be like really good.
Yeah, that was the point. They try to really up it up. It's like she was super. And I think that's where people were, I don't know about this. It didn't bother me personally. I see what he's trying to do. But we'll get right here. It says Druckmann was influenced by the concept artist Ashley Swinowski to include more female characters in the game. She is constantly challenging me and pushing me for diversity in our cast, he said. Upon focus testers' criticism regarding the inclusion and portrayal of female characters in Uncharted 4, I'm betting you the same fucking thing we were talking about. Yeah. One of whom was forced to leave due to outbursts. Druckmann expressed, wow, why does this matter? And then that's why I would turn around and flip that right around. Why does it matter? Why does she have to be a girl?
Yeah.
Because you're drinking the woke Kool-Aid. That's exactly why.
Gotta be woke.
This was particularly, watch this and listen to this. Similarly, Ellie of The Last of Us was initially received negatively in early focus tests. Druckmann is proud that Ellie is a strong, non-sexualized female lead character. Okay. That's what he's saying about Last of Us 1.
I was about to say, I think there's definitely change in the second one.
Yeah. I think you're going to have to take the non out.
Yeah.
Strong,
I mean, like the first real trailer where she's kissing another girl is kind of like, well, you kind of changed that.
Yeah. That was at the E3 big reveal, and it starts off with a big kiss, and people were immediately pissed then because it wasn't so much the kiss, it wasn't so much the lesbianism, it was that they were virtue signaling out the ass. Sony was the new and great woke Sony.
Yeah.
And hope that other developers would take similar approaches to characters without fear of unpopularity. I think there's been a pretty good amount of female characters actually, and they're not Mary Sue types either.
Lara Croft.
Yeah, she would be her and Chung-Li would of course be the super highlight. And she is like a strong, like crazy, like psycho killer social bitch, I guess, in the first one. But in the second one, she's still a damn sociopath, but she's human. You feel like she's human. Druckmann and Straley were surprised by the backlash in regards to gender roles in The Last of Us, although Druckmann noted that the more progressive we make, the more progress. I said progressive. The more problems stand out. He declared it a misconception that female protagonists hinder game sales, evidenced by the success of The Last of Us. But I would say right then and immediately, and he knows it. Joel was the main character. Joel was the main protagonist. He was the white straight Christian. So if you taking just this alone, you gotta kill that motherfucker. You gotta kill him instantly so you can have your lesbian love triangle, man. That's right.
It's like, yeah, we're just gonna go completely, And the thing is like, why couldn't they have made Last of Us 2 where it's like Ellie is the main character, but Joel is also like, why couldn't they make Joel like Ellie was in the first one, where it's like he's there and you can play as him sometimes or whatever, but it's like.
Yeah,
they could have just done a continuation of,
or you're going to go rescue Joel or something like that.
Yeah.
No one would have had any problem at all playing Ellie. I guarantee you that, because everybody loved Ellie.
Oh yeah, it's when you finally started to play with her in the first one. You're like, it was a nice fresh change. You're like, oh man, we got to take care of Joel. He's injured.
Yeah,
it's like definitely not a problem.
She's kind of a brat or whatever at the start, and she's cussing all the time, but. It's like it's one of that's her little character flaw, and you grow with her, on the journey or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just I love Ellie. Ellie's fucking great, even though she's kind of like Ellen Page, probably got sued. I think did Ellen Page sue? I know Ellen Page has sued people who look like her. It might have been that. I can't remember what it was.
I remember there was definitely, because you remember Ellen Page was in a game about the same time that Last of Us came out, and I can't remember what the name of it was.
It was one of those Chris Cage ones.
Yeah.
It was not fucking the Rain one. It was the second one. It might have been that one you press. No. The X to Doubt is a different game altogether. You was like a ghost spirit or some shit. You was like her ghost spirit, or I can't remember exactly what it is. It's one I wasn't particularly interested in. One of these days I want to play Detroit. Detroit looks real good.
Yeah.
But
it was Beyond Two Souls.
Beyond Two Souls, yeah.
That's what it was.
But I fucking love The Last of Us 1. But we're gonna burn that shit to the ground immediately, and then try to replace it. But people are gonna be so pissed off. How are you gonna go for it, man?
Well,
How
it's
are
the
you gonna
thing.
like?
It's like if you go to 3, it's like, well, there's no Joel. You've already fucked that over. It's like, that's gone. And you got Ellie, and it's like, I mean,
Minus two
judging by
fingers.
minus 2 fingers, and judging by the end of it, she didn't care about revenge. I
Yeah,
mean,
Abby lives. I'm thinking Dina lives. Because apparently they were taking care of the baby because the baby's born, and then she goes after Abby again. Dude, I mean, I don't know.
it'll be a prequel, man. It'll be the middle. They'll do it like, oh,
They'll do a prequel. We're gonna bring back Joel.
It's gonna be in between, and then everybody will lose their shit because they're like, you brought back the white Christian male guy,
Well, the scythe or sickle, goes both ways. The pendulum swings back. By the time 7 years is up, yeah, we might have swung back and we would have destroyed all this lesbian stuff, man. Even though I don't think personally there's anything wrong with it, it's a problem when it's pushed, and they pushed it by killing off Joel. You probably should have made your own damn game, a second game. Of course, it's still taken about 40 million years to get the shit done, but
it had a lot to live up to, and but really, it's like it had a lot to live up to, and I guess if they would have been like, oh, this is just a continuation. It was safe. If he'd went the safe way and been like, oh, it could have been, they still could have killed off Joel in the end. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not that they killed him. It was just, I think, more or less
the way it was done.
The way it was done. Just took a big shit on the last one. And I mean, it's kind of like, it's like I said, it's like the second Iron Eagle movie. It's like the fucking main character from the first one dies in the first 30 seconds. You don't give a shit about the rest of the movie anymore. Doesn't matter. Yeah. And it's like, he's gone. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just reading this.
Thought I had a break.
This guy says, shed some tears. I did too. I'm a fucking weenie. It's about the first one. Last of Us 2 is so hard to fit into the part 1 shoes, and it lost the tone. And this looks like a misery simulator. I think that's what Kotaku said. And I don't know if this ties into the stuff I was talking about, the SJW shit, where it's like you kind of forced to live in misery all the time. There's no hope if you're just looking for isms all the time. Linear level design, I still don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, that was the thing, is like they weren't open, but they had like nice sized environments, but you could you didn't like wander around too much trying to figure out where to go, and it was fine. Yeah. I didn't have a problem with that.
If you're doing like that, just try to not make it too gamey. If you don't, you've got to go down this corridor, but don't make it too gamey. And then don't do a Doom 3. I personally don't have any problem with the linearity in like Final Fantasy 13, and that's literally just walking down corridors. The corridors look really good, dude. It didn't bother me, but for some people, it's just to feel like you're restricted. They can't handle that. They can't handle, that's how our games used to be, man. You couldn't even fucking go to the next screen. There was just one screen, one level. Pong, here you go. You can't even cross the other side of the screen.
Well, that's the thing, is like, so it's kind of like, it's like when we play like Saints Row. It's like, oh yeah, I love the being able to go wherever and do whatever thing, but at the same time, sometimes it's like, it's nice to have something where it's kind of more linear. Like Resident Evil Revelations. It's like, you had that big ship, but at the same time, it wasn't hard to figure out where you needed to be or where you were going. You still felt like it didn't feel as massive. Or Resident Evil 4, for that matter. Resident Evil 4 is like, it's kind of like you're going from room to room. Like, there's a small section, you figure this out, but it's not like you're backtracking across the entire freaking game to do anything. Yeah. And it works fine for that.
Yeah. Resident Evil is fairly open because you're exploring that area and you kind of move on to the next area. Well, at least 4 was. Now, what Resident Evil 1 does, and I think, that's one of those things that, you got an area you're going, and then you might come back later on and they can add some new shit. A lot of that's just simply because your PlayStation is limited on how much shit can fit on the damn disc. And you just crammed it out with a full bunch of full motion videos, and you hand drew a bunch of art, and that hand drawing that shit's a bunch of damn work. So you're just going to reuse the fuck out of it over and over again. I've got no problem with linearity. I play tons of these indie games that think they have to be Metroidvania, and they don't need it to be out at all. It just felt like it was something they were forced to do, and they didn't need it in there one damn bit. But when you fuck up your movie part of your movie game, man. It's just.
Well, it's kind of like you know, the Avengers Infinity War movie. Yeah, it ends on a downer, but at the same time, it's like, well, they're still filming the next one, so you knew like, well, this sucks, but it doesn't end here. Kind of like Empire Strikes Back. Like you knew, like, well, we're gonna get another one, and they're gonna go fucking get Han Solo. You know, it's like it wasn't like Empire Strikes Back did not end with, you know, Darth Vader and Boba Fett spitting on Han Solo and then chopping off Luke's hand and, you know, and then, you know, just fucking off and being like.
And then meeting on the beach later on said, yeah, you know, you can have Luke, you can have Han Solo that. We don't care.
Yeah, we don't give a shit. I mean, you know, it's like, just, it's like, you know, but it's like with this, it's like, even if you were like, okay, the third one is going to be like, you know, the second, we meant for the second one to end on a downer. It's like the third one, it's going to be like, oh, it's like, well, no, how are you going to do that? I mean, it's kind of like watching Walking Dead. Some of that shit, you just get to the point where it's like, damn, they killed off character I like. And yeah, it's pacing is shit. And it's like, you get tired of watching it, you know?
A lot of people are waiting for, Angry Joe for him to say,
yeah,
because he's kind of a moderate. He leans a little bit more left than right. But he had one of the damn, once people were getting banned or whatever, or they were getting copyrighted striked. He said, well, fuck it, because he's pretty much the biggest reviewer. And so he did the damn shit where he discussed the leaks and discussed how pissed off he was. And you could see other Joe, and I think Alex was the other guy, and you just see the look on their face, and it matched mine. You're just dismayed. You're pissed off. And you really put a lot of yourself kind of into that game. It's weird to say that, but, you know, as a Star Wars fan, you understand.
Yeah.
I'm old enough where it's not my identity the way Star Wars used to be a part of my identity. But for a lot of fans, they were big in The Last of Us. They were big fans. You know, they're Sony fans too. And to have it shit on them like that, it's just fucking bad. But also, I think that, you know, Angry Joe is off on his own. He's not a part of that. He's based in Texas. He's not a part of that, you know, that freaking inner circle of all these guys giving this shit, you know, the 100 scores. He's not a, you know, an art critic, a high art critic. With a bunch of Twitter well, I'm sure he probably does have Twitter followers, but he's not gonna he's not
gonna be swayed by that.
Yeah, he'll tell that shit the way it is. I remember he got a lot of people hate him, but I remember he got a promotion to do those dumbass phone games, right?
Yeah.
You know, you hear that shit. You see them all the time when you're on if you're on the YouTube app. All the phone. I think what's the fucking Rage the it's not Raid Shadow Legends is the big one. Everybody gets the Shadow Legends one. But he got one of those. And what he did, instead of, you know, just saying, you know, hyping it up like he's supposed to, he reviewed it. And he said, this game's shit. He didn't know, man. He didn't know you're supposed to hype the shit up. So he doesn't do them anymore because he's going to tell it like it is. So he said this game's shit. It
probably got him like more like brownie points with the audience than like what's worth for the freaking sponsor.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know if he's ever done Shadow Legends, man.
But here's the thing about this is, like, I see a lot of people, it's like, you get the feeling of like, you know, it's like, oh, well, if you don't like this, you don't like the female characters and you don't like this. It kind of makes me think about the recent, the all female cast of Ghostbusters. It was like, people were just like, oh, you just don't like it because it's an all female cast. It's like,
well, no, that's the built-in excuse. Yeah, that's the built-in excuse.
And they did the same thing with the new Charlie's Angels remake. It's like, oh, if you don't like it, it's because you don't like all. It's like, no, I have no problem with that.
No one even knew that Charlie's Angels was coming out. They didn't market this shit, so no one even knows about it to even bitch to complain about it. There you go, you're done already. You're dead in the water if no one knows your movie's coming out. But you could use that as a fucking excuse, and people see that shit instantly.
Oh, yeah.
They were using that shit with Ghostbusters even before it came out. And Jason is a big Ghostbusters fan, and I think he finally decided he wasn't going to see it. I know that Angry Video Game there did a thing, and it pops up on YouTube all the time. Still, they still recommend it. I'm not watching it. I actually watched it, The girls ain't the problem with that movie. It's the movie.
No,
It's the
exactly.
problems with that movie. I like the girls.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those. If it had been an all male cast, it still would have sucked. It wouldn't have mattered who freaking did that movie. And it's kind of like with this. It's like I don't give a crap what characters are in it, but it's like if you start taking out one of the ones, it's like you start screwing over the last game. It's like, well, it doesn't fucking matter, you know.
Yeah. I've got most of my list checked off here. This is to the independent versus. I didn't really touch independent, but for a second, but it's the same thing with people are tired of journalists. Just a period. And on YouTube they're more popular. So independent, something like Tim Pool. I watch Tim Pool for my political news, and you get more information from that, and you'll get a whole lot less bullshit. Hell, Joe Rogan's podcast is going to be a better discussion for things, even though he's going to talk about monkeys and fucking DMT and them smoking. You get more out of listening to Joe Rogan than you do out of fucking CNN and MSNBC and Fox News. And so there's just this huge thing, this sway towards independent YouTube with critics. Mostly it's on YouTube, but or reviews. Steam reviews are great. I don't know if you ever looked at them. On a Steam review, you have they'll tell you how many hours they played. So that means a lot right there. It tells you whether these fuckers have played the game or not. And they'll tell you whether they got paid, whether they received the copy as a gift from the damn publisher. They'll tell you right there in that. And then, they basically give thumbs up or thumbs down. One of my friends, Zach, he's actually the one who's going to let me borrow Last of Us 2 when he's done. He complains about my reviews because I only have the 2 thumbs up or 1 thumb up, and then pause, and then the pause down. I've only got 3 ratings, whatever. I'm like, that should tell you enough. If you need to hear the 10 to justify your game, that means you're probably an autistic Zelda-tar is what you are.
Well, it's one of those things. It's like when you got like a scale of 10, it's like, well, what's the difference between a 9 and a 10 or a 7 and a 6 or an 8? I mean, you know what I mean? There's a lot of what qualifies a game to be rated. Let's just say 7.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not great. It's just almost middle of the road, but a little bit above the middle of the road. It's like, what would you qualify as a 7? I mean, and I'm sure somebody out there could spot a perfect 7 game, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, out of 5's plenty, or out of 3's plenty. It's like, it's not necessary to be like, it's 6.2, but.
And then what'll happen is someone's going to pull, especially when you have an IGN and it's group people doing group reviews. They represent IGN, but it's individual people doing reviews. So Dan Stapleton gives Fallout 4. Dan Stapleton's the reviews editor, so I'm going to use him. He gives Fallout 4 9.5. He's fucking out of his goddamn mind, dude.
Yeah.
But he's a serious big Fallout fan, and he said he never ran into any glitches. I was smart enough because I've already played Morrowind back in the day that I know I need to keep multiple stacks of saves because a fucking Bethesda game will blow up and kill you and ruin your save that you worked 20 or 30 hours on, or fucking 100. They'll kill that shit. On the Xbox one for on Morrowind, your feet will fall through the ground and you're stuck. You can't move. You literally have to use a console command to get out of it. And, I wouldn't even consider it cheating. It's just how to play a Bethesda game.
Yeah.
And then what can you do on the Xbox, the original Xbox version? Oh, you can fucking load up a new save because you're fucked.
You better hope it didn't take your only save with it.
Yeah. But there's also been plenty of games that he's reviewed that I felt, he's right on the mark. And so it would be like me when I review Dynasty Warriors. I'm going to review that for Dynasty Warriors fans, and I'll probably go the difference between the Dynasty Warriors games. But does anyone else really need to play that shit? No, I would not. And I'm going to try to make the point of putting that out. And some of all that niche shit I play is like, this is niche shit. You need to be interested in this and this and this to play. I try to remember to do that in my reviews. But when I do a review, I just press the record button and go. I don't write the shit down. I don't overthink it. And hell, if I miss something out that I think is important, I'll just put it in the description. That's a little thing where I put positives and negatives, and I put it there. And then I usually think about what Kitty's going to score it and what Brian's going to score it because that's my gimmick. And then that's about all of the thought I put into it. But that way it just flows and comes straight out. You're not overanalyzing it. I think a lot of these, journalists, they got to write the flowery speech. They know their peers are going to read it, so it needs to be long and eloquent. We're going to have a special section to talk about dogs getting killed and how to avoid it and all that other shit. That's what Jonathan Dornbush did. It's a huge ass fucking goes on and on and on that review, even though he can't talk about hardly any of the game. He can't talk about the shit we talked about. He can't talk about Abby at all, even though Abby's the freaking central focus of where the people are going to like this or hate this, But yeah, it's a lot of complaints about reviews. So the Steam ones where it's just up or down, that's great. And then you can also get a number score by that because they'll aggravate that number. It'll say, 90-something percent of people gave this the thumbs up. So 90% recommended. That don't mean it ain't flaws. Is that 90% of the people were not pissed off so much that they would give the thumbs down because you only had yes or no.
Yeah, which is fine, for the most part.
Yeah, and so I really like Steam reviews. Sometimes your reviews on Game FAQs can be really good, and sometimes these Metacritic ones can be good too. But the ones up here right now are clearly they're meta bombs. Is what it is. It's the ponies versus the haters. That's what's going on right now.
All those poor dogs.
Yeah, the dogs have names.
Once you name it, you get attached to it.
Yeah.
That's what I found out about kids.
I guess we'll have a little sidetrack. Because everybody's always made fun of Lara Croft for being a sociopathic maniac, a killer, right? And then when Indiana Jones is the same way. He kills like 10 guys with one bullet. And they just say, well, they're Nazis. They're human beings with names and all that shit. If you really think about it, it's kind of weird because Nathan Drake did the same fucking thing. And then of course, I've got a meme here where it's like, I hope I don't kill any guys who have buff girls as daughters. It's kind of this weird deconstruction that he's trying to do, like naming all the enemies so they have names as you kill them. That would not stop me at all. Now I'll kill them dogs too. I know. Angry Joe doesn't want to kill a dog, and I know Drew would be seriously. It's a fucking game, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I've killed a bazillion of them in Wolfenstein and everywhere else. It's a dog. Usually the dog's ability, he has ability to rush after you, run faster than you can run away, and then he would normally should be able to smell you or find you immediately. That's what I would think an enemy dog would be able to do. And so yeah, he's different than a human. I'd still kill his ass.
Yeah.
Or in Resident Evil, they're fast. They're
oh yeah, when you knew when them dogs showed up.
Yep.
It's like it was go time. You better get a freaking shotgun.
And if you got a damn Lost Progress dog, I usually would flash grenade them because it's like Mighty Morph Dylan Web.
Yeah. Damn tentacle will be flying out its head, grabbing onto you and shit. But yeah, it's like it's kind of like, I don't know if you remember, did you play through Modern Warfare 2 where it had the one level?
Well, I've heard about it. I've never played through it.
It's basically
the airport level.
Yeah, and it gives you an option of not playing it, at the beginning of the game. It's like, it's the thing is like, it's a freaking game. Like it never made me like, be like, oh, this is uncomfortable. No, it's just part of the story. You know what I mean? It's just, I can't imagine being that like bent out of shape about it, or even being that affected by it. At the same time, I'm complaining about a game where it's like they killed off the character I like early on and like stupidly, but also at the same time, it's like, it's like.
Well, if they're an NPC type character, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. It's different.
Now, I do feel a certain way sometimes. It just kind of depends on the game. Sometimes or not even the game, maybe in my mood. Sometimes I don't want to kill nobody in Grand Theft Auto. I try to drive straight, and then sometimes I just drive tractors down the place, rolling them down. Yeah. It's like in a game, you can just do it like that. I don't know exactly if he's trying to bring up some deep rooted, just deconstruct the story part of by giving all the enemies names or whatever. It's like, well, I punched out 1,400 bald people in Uncharted 1. They're all European. They're probably all called Neil or Edmonds and stuff like that. Arthurs. But I don't give a fuck, man. Kill the fucking bald-headed people.
I mean, it's like just one of those things. It's like playing Doom. Did it really fucking matter if any of them had names? They could all had fucking names for all it mattered. You know, it's just, I don't know. Maybe he's just trying to, I don't know. Maybe he's just like, I'm tired of working on this game series and I don't want to ever do it again. This is a good way to start. Maybe that's what it was.
When he's seen the when you've seen Last Jedi that came out, it was freaking hotly debated and a lot of people was pissed off. He was already setting what he had to do, so he's probably like, fuck, oh fuck. This is the end of me.
Yeah, it's probably like one of those things of like, he's like, I mean, like you said, it's like it's been going for years, so it's like it would have been before that. So I'm sure it was like when they saw that, he was just like, well, this is gonna be interesting. Fuck yeah. I'm sure he became jaded to it real quick anyway, to the point of just like, we just do whatever the fuck we, you know.
Yeah.
This is what it's going to be.
We're trying to read in. And I guess, I guess, you know, from a disaster piece, this will be a game that's going to be discussed for a long time. But I don't know. I'd much rather play the good of Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
And what was I going? I done fucking lost my train of thought. Damn it. It might come back to me. You want to go through these memes by one real fast? See if we miss anything. Let's see what we got going on here. So that's yours.
Yeah, that was the one I saw. I thought that was funny. And it's like, I guess the whole point of making Abby very butch looking is you said she wasn't trans, and that's what I've read. It's like she's not actual trans, but like, I mean, why not make her trans?
If you went back to the thing where he's talking about not sexualizing characters and making, there's something in there about that. Typically, muscle girls are extremely sexualized. There ain't no better example than that. Well, first of all, I have the actor in here somewhere. Let me pull out. This is the body model for Abby. And over the course of the game, like there was a trailer that had Abby in it before we even knew who Abby was. And people now have the actual game, and so they could compare her to what she was. It's kind of like a beta version of the game, and they actually went in and made her fucking more buff.
Yeah.
I think because I mean, look how sexual this shit is. I mean, she has dick root.
Yeah, exactly.
She has the dick root. It's maybe something like that. The sexualization part is what he was like going for. And then he has this character fucker. I don't understand. I don't understand it. I'd have to play the game and probably this is something that people will probably be thinking for later on. But you know, Chun-Li, you know, world's strongest woman, Cammy, is fucking ripped. And especially the Street Fighter 5, they're extremely sexualized.
Yeah.
And maybe he's trying to do something there. I can't explain why. I can't really explain why. I've thought about that. That's why I included this picture here. And another thing was, it's like if you went to look at Dina's model, this is Dina's model. You can see her big nose right there. But you see her like the shoulders are smaller. This is the end game. And of course her tits are way attractive. It's like they purposely made her look younger and then like desexualized her in a way. And even though this is probably the most sexual character we've seen, having not played through the game, we saw the freaking E3 part where she's cock teased to and she's playing off her boyfriend with Ellie. She's like playing them off against each other. I don't know. This was clearly the sign point. It doesn't have to necessarily mean that her whole body, because it was her face. But, you know, then the other one was the body and not her face. It's some weird shit. This is what they want. And, of course, people's like, well, where's this shit at? This is one of my favorite ones. He's like, this is problematic. He actually got up in front and did a big speech about, you know, how he was going to be, you know, misogynist in games. And then he spoke to Anita and he's been converted. Of course, so this is what people they pick. This is goddamn, what's her name? Riza from RDA Riza. And of course, this is B2 anime. And it's like, behold, the video game female hero of the 21st century. So this is what he points to. And it's like this. I'm glad, sir. Abby's got bigger arms than me, but I got a better fucking chest than she does. I don't have to feel completely ineffective as a guy.
Yeah.
This is my favorite one. This is my favorite meme. There's just something about the look on this face with Neil's face like this. You got Ellie fucking crying like here, just fucking.
Like, this is gonna be awesome, man. It'll be so great.
I'm just looked at this over and over again. I would go and dig it in memes just to find this one. It was just so freaking good. So we'll just go through the list. That went to that. That's the one, because that guy looks like it, man. How could you say that's not him? That's immediately.
Yeah, it's very. That's the thing. It's like when I saw that one, I was just like, that's him. Yeah. It's like, there's some subliminal, like, putting yourself in that role type thing.
Like, oh, maybe their personalities are completely different. We don't know him besides what he's got up and presented or said in interviews. So we don't really know Neil. We're trying to think in his head a lot because this shit's fucking whacked. This was a fairly recent one I was saying. It's like, it's so badass when people stand in front of shit they destroyed. You got Iron Man in front of exploded shit. You got John Wick, the Joker. You got Neil standing in front of the last of this one. He's fucking with confident look on his face. I like that. It was great. I've never seen Dexter, but he's wearing the same shirt as the golf master.
Yeah.
And of course, here's Abby on Abigail's fucking body. That's great. I got the reference immediately.
Yep.
The Last of Us fans fighting with the Naughty Dog, and the Ghost of Tsushima's waiting. A lot of people were saying they're going to get the Ghost of Tsushima. It's one of those things. It's like where people hated on the Star Wars, the new Star Wars ones, and they're like, "Oh, the prequels are way better." I'm like, "No, they're both
no, they're both pretty shit."
I'm very suspicious about the Ghost of Tsushima that it ain't going to be as hot as people think it is. It's going to look real good. I mean, that's a given. It's going to look real
pretty.
Good. Yeah. I'm not interested in it at all. Got the guy here saying, "Why are you shitting on my plate?" He's like, "How do you know it's shit if it's not even out yet?" Sometimes, bro, you just
you can see it coming down the road, man. You just look at it and be like, "This is gonna suck." It don't need to be out yet.
We got the South Park reference where she's beating the fuck out of everybody. That one. I like this because I know you're a big Resident Evil 3. That looks hideous, man. It's like Jill converted to Abby type character. Here's a cartoon panel. Does anyone have a good idea or story? Neil Druckmann says, "Tranny, kill Joel, keep the main character alive, and no LGBTQ nonsense." This guy, and Neil throws that guy out in the fucking end panel. We got Elmo. He's got his choice between The Last of Us and some apples, or Cyberpunk and some cocaine. He's goes straight to the coke, man.
Straight to the coke.
Yep. You talk about hype. That game right there has more hype than Last of Us.
It's got a lot. I mean, it's got a lot of hype. That is ridiculous.
And y'all fuckers is gonna, hell. I mean, the Witcher is good because Gary's in it, dude. That's what The Witcher's good about. If you don't have Gary, your main character, what are you going to be do without it? I don't think that your main character is kind of like a I guess they talk, but they're created, they're player created.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be like Saints Row where you can pick between 3 voices or what. Is this the Sony 101 well balanced content? Ellie getting her fucking space fast in. I was really hated when I saw that image. And then you got Siran Kagura on the other hand, because Sony's got to fucking, censor all that anime shit, man. They've censored tons and tons of anime games. But, the fucking Last of Us, we can have naked scenes, fucking Ellie getting the shit beat out of her. It's all good because, it's woke. It's exactly what the fuck it is. It's woke. Got a picture of the end of The Last of Us 1. The guy says, "Stay back, have a daughter. She's ripped. I mean, she's absolutely shredded. And she plays golf." I've heard people went back and they found a way to not kill him. I didn't see it myself. They found a way to try to avoid the scene or whatever it is, so you don't kill the guy.
That's what I was thinking, because I was like, I remember at the end of it, it's like you could pretty much do whatever you wanted, but it seemed like you could get around them and still get to her without actually like shooting anybody.
I had no problem at all shooting those characters. Not at all, because they the way they said was, we have to kill her. I'm like, really? Do you really have to kill her? you know, we gotta get in her brain. It's like one thing is if you kill her, you know, and it's something that she has to grow, the antibodies she has to grow, then would you not be fucked?
Yeah, you'd be
like,
fucked.
Why would you kill her? Well, it was a part of me that was immediate. It's like, no, you're not. Why would you kill her? That's stupid. And I had no problem killing the retards or the military guys in the first room either.
Well, if they'd had names, you'd have felt different.
Oh, that's what it was. If they had
didn't have name badges. Had they had name badges, you'd have stopped and been like, wait a minute, let me ponder this.
I like this one too. It's got Neil Druckmann. It looks like Spaceballs, but he's got the little action figures. And there's like a Blake Sony on the other side. He's like, and Neil says, and then the cycle of vengeance continues. So this muscled feminist kills the old guy by playing golf with his head while the female hero watches in horror. After that, the muscled feminist beats the pregnant woman until she is unconscious. I can't even read it. Huh? Do you have a problem with the visceral female violence, or you want me to censor it? And Sony's like, nah, it's cool. It's not like you're showing any anime girls, so that would be some problem. Behind them is a picture of all the anime shit. Dare Alive, Venus Vacation, a lot of visual novels, just censoring all kinds of stuff. There's Anita, and she's got a little key. It's misogynist, and she's getting the. Is it the rainbow key? No, it's the female symbol on a wand. Okay. You see in the leaks. You see fucking Abby manhandle. Goddamn. Manhandle hell, man. They'll choke the shit out of her, bro. There's tons of memes that take this just to choke and just choking somebody. There's another Sony 101 where it's the well balanced content. The fucking the sex scene. Of course, a lot of people say it's a tranny. It's not. She's not tranny. I mean, I guess. If she's tranny, she identifies as a female. It doesn't say that she's a. She doesn't say that she's a cis white girl or whatever. There's none of that shit. Yeah. Here's Joel saying, "All those men I killed. I hope they don't have buff daughters." That's the picture of the Abby model. Let me see there. Then we found people were taking the meme far. So we've got
him fucking Pac-Man.
You got Billy Mitchell fucking Pac-Man. Makes Pac-Man his bitch. He got his scores reinstated. I haven't looked up why, but he got him back instated in Guinness. And I
haven't heard that he got him back in there yet. Yeah, I didn't know if it was certain ones or if it was all of them.
I don't know. So we've got Neil giving the old drive to Anita, and then we got Anita giving the dry to Dick.
Maybe that's what he liked instead.
With all the tens in the background. There's another picture of the insert. Dude, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you were making that game and you're like, if one of the developers are like, yeah, we're doing this, you would be like, really? Why do you got to make them look like me? You know what I mean? Like if that you would always have to plan it that way.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure.
Before you would catch it, be like,
if he's not an artist, he would have had an artist do the close rendition well before we even get to down. It is not some guy sitting in a computer chair. I'll make Neil a fucking character.
Yeah, exactly. That would not happen.
All right, here's the Access Game Media. You like that Access, don't you? As Neil gives them the behind. Oh yes, 10 out of 10. Here's variations of how you feel. How you feel. We were 4 for a minute. We were 4. Right now we're feeling a little 2. This is all funny talking about it. It was therapeutic because the only one I could talk to was you. You were the only one who was like Last of Us fan because Jason and Drew never. Even though we went 3 ways in it. So I only paid $20 for Last of Us. They paid the other $20. I don't even have the copy. One of them have it. But they never actually played it more than a few minutes. But me and you did. And finally, you got Miss Swan. He looking like a man. I think that's it. Yeah, I saved up a bunch of memes, especially since they were being fucking censored out on Twitter. They were being banned. And I waited. I wanted to do several fucking topics on this, or just posts, or just rants. On Game FAQs, I ranted a little bit, but I didn't spoil it for nobody. Off the site. I only I lurk sometimes. I usually don't post because usually it's the actual Last of Us forums. There's like a shit fire. They've been a shit fire this whole time, and so it's like, why go? Even participate in that because you're not going to convince any fucking body.
Yeah.
And
They've
so
already
that's why
made up their mind.
Yeah, and then it is a lot of people there were convinced that it cannot be true. It cannot be true, and it has to be amazing. And then when they play it, it's like, well, and then that they've somehow managed to avoid the spoilers. You're in for a ride, bro. You're in for a real ride.
Well, it's kind of like when Rise of Skywalker came out, and they had all those the spoilers before the movie came out, and you're like, surely this can't be true because it sounds ridiculous. And then you go see the movie, and you're like, no, it's pretty goddamn ridiculous.
Yeah. And there's no doubt in my mind that they had a scene where the Millennium Falcon got blown up with Princess Leia and all them in it. There's no doubt in my mind they did that just to say, fucking shock.
Yeah.
No, that can only be done certain ways, man. That can only be done in certain ways, and maybe come Last of Us, like Part 8 or whatever, the last Last of Us Jedi, the Jedi of Us. You could have done something particularly insane and crazy, but he said, no, we're gonna do it in the fucking next game. We're gonna melt and burn fucking bridges.
Yeah,
burn it all down. As Kylo Ren says, destroy it if you have to. Yeah. So I'm still gonna play through it. I don't think I can record it because I think they'll claim the shit.
They'll yank it.
I'll probably get enough. Hell, I don't even really actually need footage. I could do like this if I need to.
Yeah.
But I'll get maybe something in long enough footage to have a review. But I'll play through the game. And then
I will too. It's like I'll play through it. It's like even though, but it would be like kind of one of those things where you just like, I hate to say it, hate play or hate watch it just for the heck of it. Just be like, I'll play it.
And then you could still, just to be for curiosity's sake, for the disaster part of it, I'll play it. But I didn't want to pay for it, and so we got a way of not paying for it. Hopefully, you'll come up with the similar way. Just get the shit from eBay or GameStop or some shit down the line where it's cheap.
Yeah.
Especially if they have a PlayStation 5 version. The PS4 one would go cheap. I would assume. Yeah, I'll probably get it in the next couple of weeks. I'll get it because Zach took a vacation to play it. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry, man.
I feel bad for him.
He ended up. I kept kind of hyping up the leak, so he did go and look at the leak. He read it. He didn't see the video, and so But hey, man, it's like, I'm not going to discount anybody who likes it. There's something to be said about just having an amazing presentation, and it's going to have just a perfect presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, there ain't gonna be a bunch of bugs in it. It's gonna be fucking everything's practically flawless, well tuned, and then to deliver you an experience. It might not be a good experience, but
it'll be an experience.
Yeah. It's like you don't have fun in Alien Isolation, man. I'm gonna say it straight out. It's like, but I really like that game. Not for the fun part. He said there's no fun in this. Well, I believe it. I believe it. It's going to be nothing but misery and blood and murder and horror and lesbian triangles.
And golf clubs.
Golf clubs.
In the ass,
Brian should have stayed around, man. We could have freaking enlightened him.
Oh man, I felt bad because as soon as I said, it's like, yeah, Abby, she's the one who kills Joel, right? And he's like, I was just like, oh, dude, you said you weren't going to play it. I thought I was like, my bad.
I assume he knew, man. Oh well, I tried not to spoil it. I kind of spoiled it for Eddie, but Eddie's also a hard, stubborn ass, and he spoils everything for us. So. He's not even gonna play it anyway because he don't have a PlayStation. He'll just watch somebody play it.
Yeah, watch the walkthrough.
Yeah. It was like number 2 on Twitch in games played, which is that's pretty good. Because on Twitch you got PC everything games and everything else, so you have the Fortnites and all that stuff that's going on. And that Valorant, which is a new game, that Ghost Recon type. Well, no, I'm sorry, not Ghost Recon. CS:GO type game.
Yeah.
People were They're very. It's got everybody's attention. Maybe not in a good way.
Yeah, that's not necessarily. It's like the whole thing of like, all publicity is good publicity, and it's like not necessarily.
No.
It's like not when it's like people are like, "Fuck it, I ain't buying any more of this shit."
Yeah. Yep. And anybody who might have been slowly on the fence on the PS5 are like, "Fuck it, I'm not getting this shit," because this is Sony okayed everything here. Sony okayed it up the butt. Sony okayed Joe dying. Because it was the woke masterpiece they thought. It's something. It's a disaster piece, man.
It's a dumpster fire is what it is.
It's a dumpster fire, and you gotta be. And I'm compelled to look in it. I dig in shit a little bit. I'll admit.
It's like I'll be out of curiosity.
Out of curiosity, we're gonna go and try.
Yeah. It's like fucking looking at a car wreck going down the road. It's like, damn, it's fucked up. It's like, glad that ain't me.
Did you know that 70% of Naughty Dog staff is left between the release of this game? Well, no, it was last year.
It was last year when they had
and the release of Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 is not that old. That's 2015, 16.
I think so.
Maybe even 17. It was not that old. And so they just melted through the staff. A lot of that is just, who knows how many of that was temp to begin with, but that's a terrible number. I don't know the exact details behind the number. Fuck being a game developer, man.
It seems like it's one of those things where it's like, I guess a lot of stuff like that, like being programmers and whatnot, it's a lot of like temporary work, from one thing to the next. Yeah. I guess, kind of like acting. It's like if you're an actor, it's like you're just going from one thing to the next thing. But I don't know, man. Especially you hear about some of that stuff. It's like when it gets down to crunch time and they're working like 100 hours a week and just putting shit out that they know is gonna suck.
And then the quality assurance people, the guys who played the games, I hear they particularly get shit on because they're all part time. Yeah, it's like why play a fucking guy who just plays the game a goddamn $100,000 salary? A guy who programs this shit, who's or an artist, who knows what the fuck you're doing, or even if you don't like him, he's so into that job. It would be. I've heard the training part's terrible. It's like, imagine if you're like the lead programmer or some shit. You're in charge of putting all this shit together. You're over a team of about 12 people, and you say, "Fuck it, I'm out." That sounds rough, and that might have been what happened with when his partner left, because his partner was working on this game, I think, with him, and then he left. I don't know the details of that. That might be a secret too. It might have been a big falling out or creative differences or whatever the fuck it is. But that's literally one half of your team is your fucking captain has said, "Fuck it, I'm leaving." What does that mean? And and it's like you're the tree making guy, and you've been making all the trees. You know how to get them trees in the game and make the game not crash, make the game not lag, and then you're something happens here. You've been working 40 million hours. And Neil wants him more goddamn trees. You're like, dude, I ain't making no more trees. And you leave. And it's somebody's got to come in. They got to come in. You've been working on these trees for 3 years. People can't even find your goddamn files. They can't find your trees.
Yeah. So we'll just start over. Just start over all the trees. We'll just paint that shit in there.
They'll be flat. It'll be like hexen trees.
Yep. Throw some sprites in there in the background. Nobody will notice.
Well, I think we got this pretty wrapped up, man.
I was looking forward to it. I really was looking forward to it. But it was like, when the leak started, I was like, I'd already subverted my expectations when the leak started because I was like, these sound like they were pretty, the movie stuff started getting leaked out, and it was like, this is really happening. And at that point, it was like, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. I hope, and well, for most of the times, it's the game's released too early. That's when if they fuck it up, or they kind of think that they have it taken care of. Man, I'm hoping they don't rush Horizon Zero Dawn 2. I'm not getting a PlayStation 5 anytime soon. But I'm hoping that, hey, if I just hang out and wait you know, if the game comes out, you know, 2 years from now and it takes 3 years to get the PC, then you know, I'll wait. I don't want them rushing it because they usually make those Guerrilla Game guys. They push their fucking Killzone shits out real fast, and they're half-ass shit. It's I hope that Sony's learned their lesson there. They just to let these games breathe. But I don't know what Mr. Neil came up with, man. He's out of his name. It's down to the point where he's like Todd. He's just called Neil. You're sorry to all the guys in the world who's called Todd. You're not Todd Howard, so you don't fucking matter. And now if you're not Neil, you know, if you're not the head of Naughty Dog when your man died, you can't be doing no more. You got to change your name.
How long do you think you'll be the head of Naughty Dog after this?
I don't know. They might just
they might look at it like this is great.
I mean, it's going to win a whole lot of Game of the Year shit. So even with Cyberpunk, it's probably going to win Game of the Year. Somebody's going to give it Game of the Year. It's a masterpiece, man.
Yeah, you won't believe what they do. He's going to fuck one of the characters. It'll be awesome. Nobody will expect it.
Even if this game would have been well received, the 70% of your staff leaving, your partner leaving, shit's in trouble. Naughty Dog's in trouble, and so they're gonna have to revamp. They're gonna have to do something serious about the crunch because that Jason Schreier guy is going to continuously get information on this shit. They're just gonna feed his ass. I can't wait for a second book. His first book was great. It's called Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, and it even covers Diablo 3 about when Diablo 3 was a fucking travesty. So that was a great read. It did Wizardry 3. I mean, not Wizardry 3, but The Witcher 3 was in there. Dragon Age Inquisition. Games that have... So it's fairly recent games that had fucking trouble launches. Dragon Age got goddamn Game of the Year, so they can just throw that shit out to anything, man. But it's going to be a while. And, you know, of course, I personally feel that there doesn't need to be another Nathan Drake game. So Uncharted's done. And so, and you need to put Last of Us on ice. You'd have to have something new.
Yeah. I don't think there's any point in coming out with a 3 anytime soon or even like working on it. Be like, I mean, I'm sure you can do something storyline wise, but at this point it's like, what the fuck? I mean, it's like,
yeah.
I mean, you got to do something to build it back up, but my God, it's just shit. Just a big old turd on fire.
Well, if the game is about hate, he got plenty of hate, man.
It's gonna be so freaking depressing. Everybody will hate it, and that'll be the point. It'll be great.
The most talked about game. That's what he's going for.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
It's like The Last Jedi will always be the most talked about Star Wars. It's just like, can't get around it. Even that shit wreck Rise of Skywalker. It's like, yeah, we'll shit on that, but we're going to go back and fuck. What the fuck happened with Last Jedi?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like you look back at like freaking, the episode 1, and it's like, I'm sure it's like, yeah, and that's got nothing on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think episode 1's worse, but as far as like shit to say, stuff to talk about, Last Jedi, just fuck it. I know you hate Last Jedi more than 1.
Oh yeah,
you do. You hated the most, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have no interest in going back and watching episode 1 or 2. But if it was like Desert Island, it'd be like, yeah, I'll take episode 1. Between that and Last Jedi, it'd be like, yeah, I can watch that pod race scene again, I guess. I mean, at least it had like, a halfway decent Obi-Wan Kenobi as young in it.
I mean, to me, Attack of the Clones, that was my Last Jedi, and so I honestly, I'm like, fuck it, what are you gonna do? I'm pretty much like Luke. I'm already throwing my lightsabers off the cliff, so I'm fucking all in on Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Deconstruct it, subvert my expectations. At least it wasn't something that I could predict. You fucking wouldn't predict that shit. But it's just. Yeah. Is this the Attack of the Clones, Last Jedi, The Last of Us, Game of Thrones season 8? Even though I've never seen Game of Thrones, but that's thrown in there. Throw that shit in there. That's where we're at for Last of Us. Sony's still going to make a ton of money off of this one. People are going to buy this one, just like Diablo 3.
Yep, people buy it.
30 million fucking copies of Diablo 3. It was in the top 10 PC games for I don't know if it's still there. It was at number 10. It probably fell off by now. Well, because on stuff like Fortnite and stuff, those are free, so you can't really count them as sales. But you know, then Blizzard was, you know, they did Reaper of Souls, but they didn't want to do anything else. They didn't feel like they could monetize it, and they felt they knew that people were not going to get that shit. It wasn't going to sell a bazillion copies. I don't know what Reaper sold, but you know, it helped redeem the game. But at the same time, you got me highly suspicious of Diablo 4. I ain't stupid. I'll play that fucking demo. We'll see. But I'm not hyped for Diablo 4 at all.
Not at all.
Could you imagine? It's hard to think about it. Could you imagine being hyped for Last of Us 3?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, even if they're like, all right, wait till the next one, because it's going to be a redeemer, and it's just like,
yeah, the redeemer. We're fixing it, guys.
Yeah, what's it going to be like? We're just going to like pretend that one didn't happen, or it's going to happen between 1 and 2. It's like, what are you going to do? It's like, I was looking on GameFAQs, and there's a post on the PS4, the game board for Last of Us 2. It's just made me chuckle. It's like, imagine if John Wick kills all the mob but spares the guy who killed his dog. And then it says, then you get to play as the guy who killed his dog. This is exactly what I felt after playing this game. And I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty goddamn bad.
Yeah. And how can you... I know they try, because you could tell even in these pictures here, when the Neil Druckmann character is fucking Abby, he doesn't have the full beard on. He hasn't truly formed the Neil yet. So the Abby thing has to be a different timeline, and it leads up to... Oh, I just noticed my goddamn robot is on the fucking... You stupid robot. Well, fuck it, let's let it go. If you hear a robot, that's what's going on. My vacuum robot said, fuck it, we're activating and doing. I don't know. It just makes its own damn mind up these days.
It's got to go clean up the cat turds.
I wish, dude. I done lost my truck. The fucking robot. The cat's running around. The robots that got me distracted. I was talking about... Oh, Abby's thing. It's like, even if Abby's... So you're going through a time period with Abby and Levi, I don't know his name, but you know, they're going to try to make you like her, or try to make you at least understand her. Maybe you can probably understand that shit, but you ain't never going to like her. You're going to hate her. And it's like, apparently people find already found where you can jump off a building or whatever. I don't know if you do it as Abby or Ellie. It's like, find a way to Lara Croft yourself off some shit. It's like,
just end it.
Just Lara Croft would always have the greatest deaths, man. They spent huge amount of hours giving her great deaths, unique deaths for each fucking trap or each bottomless pit. And that's what people want to do when they find a place where they can kill Abby. Just ever kill it off over and over again.
It's like, fuck her.
And whatever he was trying to do for Muscle Girls, it's done now. People hate Muscle Girls, man. It sucks.
Yeah. Dumpster fire, man. That's all you can say. Dumpster fire.
Yeah. But it's cathartic to talk about it. I needed to talk about it.
Yeah. It was like one of those things, like, I was like, because I'd even thought about still getting it like this weekend or something. I was like, God, man, it's like, I've heard all that shit, but I was like, you know, I watched a couple of gameplay trailers, and I'm like, you know, it's like, maybe it sucks, but like, you know, maybe it's like, maybe if it's done right, it ain't too bad. And then it was like, the more I looked, the more I read, and I'm like, no, I'm not putting myself through that shit. I don't give a fuck.
It's like, dude, even if you found that shit at $54 at GameStop, okay, you pay that. Don't pay Sony for it. That's all I'm saying. And so Zach's going to hook me up. I'll fucking pressure him every day. Hey man, how far are you? What's your percentage rating? Did you find the Neil Druckmann Pokemon card? I sent him that, because that's that picture I've sent you. Is like, it looks like a Pokemon card instead of it's got Druckmann on the back. Yeah. Hey man, maybe he's going for. Well, no, that's so fucking cheap to say. Oh, he's just going for the hate so he can say that because he calls all phobes. Then that's a pop out excuse. No, he had to have. He's a fucking very good at what he does. So he had to choose. He had to choose chaos, man. He had to choose fucking death for some reason. Fuck it, let's go. Let's burn it. Burn it all down. But, yeah, we're rambling now, man. I'm going to end it, but I needed to talk. I think you did too.
Got to work it through it.